Dr. Satya for arranging the lecture like this. All the best, sir. Over to B. Karthikeyan, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Um, Good morning, participants. Um, I'm going to give you a brief bio about the resource person. Dr. Sundar Rahman, currently working as a senior manager at Tata Communications, Chennai. He completed BTech in Electronics and Instrumentation Engineering, MTech in Advanced Communication System, and PhD in Image Steganography on Reconfigurable Hardware. He worked as a senior assistant professor in Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, Sastra Deemed University, Tanjavur. And during the span of 15 years of higher education experience at Sastra, he was involved in various academic as well as research activities. He worked on beam steering controller design project for active phased array radars in DRDO lab, LRDE Bangalore. He was a co-principal investigator in a DRDO Government of India funded project on adaptive steganography. Dr. Sundararaman was also a key contributor in the key management consultancy project for Tata Power SED Bangalore. He was principal investigator for a funded project on true random key generation for CVRD DRDO Chennai. In addition, he has contributed to the development of Wipro ULK faculty resource guide for FPGA based experiments with Unified Learning Kit, an initiative of Wipro to empower academic lab activities. He was a faculty guide from Sastra for IBM remote mentoring projects. He has published 50 plus research articles in various journals in the domain of FPGA-based random key generation, image steganography, and image encryption. He has conducted various workshops to students and faculty members on software and EDA tools in the past. His research area includes DDoS attack mitigation, hardware accelerators, cryptography, steganography, VLSI design, and random key generation. Dr. Sundararaman is presently guiding 2 research scholars in full-time mode for their doctoral programs in the domain of true random key generation and medical data security framework. Sir, I welcome you for the session and we are overwhelmed by your presence. Thank you, sir. Session starts for you.
Thank you very much, the VIT University, the management and faculty, research scholars, and then students. Thanks to the School of Electronics Engineering at VIT for the session which is going to have some understanding on the research and which is going to be a platform for sharing my thoughts on the research. Thank you very much, Karthikeyan sir, also for arranging this. Yeah. So before beginning my presentation, it's well known that all of us are really interested to do teaching and research, and most of the educational institutions in India are becoming one of the node centers for the research. And needless to mention that the product development and the future course of the technology, science and technology is going to be completely centered on the research. And that is how we have come across so far what kind of contributions have been made in various domains of various branches of science, engineering, or arts and humanities, or the results of some form of research. And while thinking about the quantum and quantity of research that is being carried out, it is always interesting to know how do we maintain quality. What is quality in research? How do we understand our research? What is our perspective in understanding the research, so that we can be a good researcher, we can produce good researchers, we can be a guide for all the other researchers. So that's how I conceived this particular topic when I was thinking about what can be shared to the participants, especially at the academic institutions. I'm basically from academic background, and I also have done some little research and also interested to know how to research. So it's going to be a learning session for both of us here, and I'm sure most of you are pursuing your research as well as teaching. And of course, it is wonderful. It is wonderful to do research in an academic environment where where you get to know about more people. But do we have? Are we focused only on academic centric research or industry centric research? What is it? What kind of improvements that can be brought in when we think about research? So it's going to be a thought process sharing. So let us make it interactive. Um, so I'll move to presentation mode as I have set the context for this particular presentation today. Kindly let me know once my screen is visible. I think, can you please mute your audio? I request all of you to mute your audio.
The screen is shared. We are able to see.
Sir, you're muted. Am I audible right now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, thank you. So I would like to focus on what could be the kind of options that we have when we try to do research, and what is it actually? What are the various attributes, or what are the various skill sets that are really needed to pursue the research career? So this is my first slide. So can you please enter your idea in the chat window? I'd like to see your response. Kindly enter your responses in the chat window.
No chat window.
All right. Research. Any other thing? Is it about research? What do you see here? Right. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to talk about research. So something related to research that you might be thinking about. So you see some image, and below that you have some link, and after that you have a graph, you have a chart, and you have some write-up, right? So what do we understand, right? So when we try to understand the relationship between all these four pieces, right? We have some information may be there, right? So we try to analyze what is going to be there inside this image, or what does it represent, what this particular write-up represents. So we try to link it. They may be linked, they may not be linked, right? So I just explain this particular slide. So I'm interested to know about a particular image. So I'm just trying to count the number of letters in that, and try to plot something with that. And I'm interested to make a write up on this. So this is how we see the research, right? So when we try to do something. We need some analysis on it. How do we perceive that? What is our perception on that? How do we represent it? How do we represent the perception quantitatively and qualitatively? Am I trying to write the perception in a proper way, in a technical way, right? This is how we see the research. But to understand that, we have to answer a few questions, right? We know that we understand that research is writing a paper, research is developing a product, research is nothing but filing a patent. Am I interested to do some formal research or a casual research? And of course, I would say that right from a child to an old man, all are researchers, right? So even when we try to purchase a product, we do some research on it, whether the product is, inexpensive, or whether the quality of the product is good in this particular brand, whether this brand is good or that brand is good. All of us are doing research, but how do we channelize it? What kind of momentum is required to understand the research is what we have to know. Let us try to make some questions, right? So we have to ask questions. That is how the Dale Carnegie training says, right? We must begin any understanding with a question. Why do we do it? So I have a list of questions which all of us must think over it and try to answer it, right? How do I view research? So you can enter your responses. We can collectively discuss it later. How do I view research? What is my perception of the research? As I told you, is it just making a publication or making a patent? Is it only the research? What is research? Is it mandatory to do research? Right? Why do I do research? Is it mandatory? So for my career development, should I do research? For my career development in industry, do I need research? For my career development in banking, do I need research? Or in academic environment, is research mandatory? Why should I do research? Of course, the 2 and 3 are really linked. What do I get out of research? If I answer why should I do research, I'll come up with the answer that what's going to be after research. Do I need any additional skills to pursue research? Do I need, I have some set of skills, maybe soft skills or technical skills. What kind of additional skills I need for doing research? See, all these questions are asked by us for us for understanding the research. We have to ask, all of us must ask ourselves, are we eligible to do research? Am I capable of working with a research supervisor, especially in an academic environment or any other research forums? Of course, research supervisor is mandatory, and the candidate who is pursuing research, both entities are mandatory, right? The person doing the research and the person who is guiding the research. Am I capable of working with a research supervisor, right? How can I manage my teaching and research? Of course, I would, I'm interested in these questions because I'm addressing an academic gathering here. So all of you, even I was also teaching. Right now also I'm engaged in some kind of teaching activities, right? So how do I manage both teaching and research? Is full-time research or part-time research work better? Which is going to produce good quality, right? At the end of the day, I'm interested to know, I'm interested to ensure whether the quality is better or not. What is after research? I've done research, so I say that till the end of my life, should I continue the research? Or just for getting the PhD degree, once I get the PhD degree, okay, that's all. Should I stop research? Or publications, patents, and funded projects, of course, all the three, the 3 P's of research, right? So, when you say 4 C's of research or 3 P's of research, not pieces, but P's, right? So we start with publication, and then we end up at patent or product, right? Are all the three required for research or only sufficient for research? Is it a true measure of research? Are many opportunities available for full-time research career? Is it true? So why should I do research, right? So I want to land up in a R&D of an industry, or I want to be a part of a premier research institute. Do I really need research? Or I would say that many institutions may offer some kind of research credit in which they encourage even the UG students to pursue research. So it is not mandatory that I should complete my PhD program to pursue my research career. Of course, they go in tandem, right? So any product development go in tandem, go in parallel with the research. So okay, so these are the 10 questions that I would like to ask me and also ask you. Let's try to analyze the responses of this post my presentation. So in academic environment, right? So mostly, as I already told you, in India, most of the research works are happening in academic environment. Whether when you think about the industry like a services-based industry or product-based industry, the research is happening in some other form. It's going to be the commercial centric or product centric one. But how do we develop the research attitude and aptitude? We must have the attitude and aptitude to pursue the research. So the first the very first thought process that I have when I would like to develop the problem for the research, I don't want to do any reinventory which has been already done. If I want to do a quality research, first I must develop some interest towards the research. Especially what I'm trying to say here is a formal research. The formal research as a structure, right? It begins with the problem formulation. Do I really have interest for this particular problem? Identification. Am I really interested in identifying a problem? Am I interested? Yeah, I'm interested. Then what is the future scope of the problem? I may be doing something which is even if suppose if I start reinventing it, it's going to add my knowledge. But what knowledge am I going to share with the society? It's the very first thing, right? When we are as a researcher, I would say we are socially highly responsible. We are involved in something which is going to contribute to the development of the society. I would say we have all the responsibilities, right? We are educating others who are not knowing this. They may be interested to know about it in 1 year or 2 year or 10 year or 100 years. What kind of future scope I have, right? Now most of us are running behind AI and ML. Is it really work? Is it really needed for my problem? Do I really need to add any AI or ML content to in my problem? What kind of improvement is it going to give? What is the future scope of it? We are talking about a lot of technologies. If I add something to this, is it going to help the future? Yeah, it's a good novel problem. I may be doing in nanotechnology or cryptocurrency or Bitcoin. Do I have sufficient resources available? What is the resource, right? Do I have any supervisor? Yeah, of course, it's not going to be a Namkeva supervisor. A supervisor who has done some research, who has done some work on the particular area. But of course, all of you know that a PhD candidate has to work under a PhD supervisor. A supervisor with PhD degree is eligible to guide a candidate who wants to pursue PhD, right? So my mentor used to say it's called a doctor of love and wisdom. Doctor of love and wisdom. Another colleague used to say PhD is doing research is nothing but a penance. In Tamil they used to say tavam, right? It's a tavam. Tavam means you are highly focused on that. Are we really interested to focus on that? Do I have time for that? Do we have supervisor? Or do we have really tools, right? So some of you might be interested in experimenting. Some of you might require some software tools. Are they available? Are they available in the market, or we have to invent it and then do it? Or invention of the software itself is a research, or equipment itself is a research? Do we have earlier work? That means they might have published some, patents or publications, or do we have a product in the market which is predominantly available? What kind of resources that we have? NUC of research. So this is these three elements may be new to you, but this is what my doctoral committee member used to say. If you want to, Sundar, if you want to say you are doing research, can you answer this? Are you having these three elements? Do you have novelty? Do you have utility? Do you have complexity? Is the research is really novel? Is the research is going to benefit to a society? What kind of benefit is it going to give? Some of them are going to be directly benefiting the user. Some of them are going to be indirectly benefiting the user, or they may be indirectly benefiting a fraction of the component in the industry. Maybe let it be. What kind of complexity you have? What is the complexity of research that you have? Complexity that you are bringing in, right? So when you say in computer science, they used to say time complexity, space complexity, and other things. But how well, I would say, I'm doing a very complex research, but I should be able to explain in simple terms, right? So I'm asking someone, you please talk about research. He will be talking for 30 minutes or 40 minutes. I'm not interested to listen. Sir, can you tell your research in 1 minute? Or you should be able to explain it, right? So first I must have the interest to understand the problem, and what is the future scope of the problem, what is the resource availability to address the problem, and what kind of injection or addition of the NUCs for understanding the problem. And coming here, I have formulated the problem. I am really all set for doing the research. Let us enter into the research. As I already told you, I'm interested to talk about the formal research, right? So especially all the formal research begin with the courseworks. Coursework means, I would say it's a kind of appetizer. Say when you are going for a very grand dinner, they'll give an appetizer, right? So they will begin with the soup or something, which will kindle your interest to pursue more on it, right? So sometimes the soup itself will be more, so that I may not be interested to take the actual recipes over there. But the purpose of that, the soup, is to kindle your hunger, so that I would be able to take more number of recipes. So I am trying to match the coursework with the soup. So that will be a precursor, that will be a very backbone for your research. We have to be very careful when we are choosing a coursework. Of course, most of the institutions use, they prescribe, especially PG courses for their coursework, but some are the exceptions, right? Some outstanding UG courses may also be considered for the coursework, but it's mandatory to ensure that whether the coursework align with the domain of the problem, right? So it's very important to understand the right way, especially when you are trying to do in computer science or engineering, what kind of mathematics that we have. Anyway, always we are interested to represent anything with the mathematics. We want to do some mathematical model of it. So are we trying to keep the mathematics at a distance from the other courses, right? Why should I do, if I don't try to use mathematics for my research? Why should I need it, right? So we have to ask this question. Mathematics is really needed, especially it's going to give you, the very good support for your analysis and other things. So coursework I finalize. I complete the coursework, and after that I have to do some literature survey, right? What are the sources that we have? Especially most of the theses have one of the chapters for a literature survey. Are we really interested to do literature survey? Why should I do it? Simple. If I want to understand the problem properly, I should do this literature survey. I cannot make a two-step jump or three-step jump. I have to really understand. See, I would say, if you complete the literature survey properly, you will become 50% researcher. Completion means what? Knowing, understanding the problem, how a problem is really understood, how is it analyzed, or is it just an idea? Idea may be there, right? How do we develop the idea? How do we give the idea? How do you make it, how do you decorate the idea so that the presentation is, very beautiful? All these things can be understood through the literature survey, because this the research has been happening for decades. Still, the process of the research, I won't see much change in it. Of course, there you can see some kind of infinite small changes from here to there. But most of us, if you are interested to do the research, have to do the literature survey to understand what is happening around us. Are we understanding the research gap? Are you identifying the research gap? Why should I identify it? If I want to contribute something new, I have to identify the research gap. For that, you may be visiting some industries. You may be visiting some real-time scenarios. You may be understanding the product which is in the market. Are we really product oriented? Right? Can we make a product? Will my research algorithm or will my research idea reduce the cost of a product? So I cannot say that I cannot directly take you to the product development itself. But for example, if you want to develop some equation in mathematics, what is the direct levels of the product? I may not be able to answer. But I would say whether it is incremental research or innovative research. So I have I want to discuss something on it later. But I would say even those need not do the actual research, but should be able to understand all these things, right? I must be able to identify the research gap. If we read the article, after reading the literature survey, it should be, this is what he is going to mention. Oh, this is the research gap. So that will really, if you are able to identify the research gap, then of course you are a good researcher. So, okay, I have identified the problem. So this is going to be end solution. Is end solution really needed for research? May not be needed. But I would say, right, they used to say some anecdote. Thomas Alva Edison, before testing that the tungsten is a real material to produce a light, he has tested with thousands of materials. And after testing thousands of materials, this tungsten is a proper materials for producing the light. So I need some solution after that. Of course, all of us are wanting solution. All of us are in need of solution, no doubt at all. And then comes the main part, experiment. Do we have some setup for doing the experiment? Or how do we perform the experiment? Maybe software experiment, or software means you write some code. If it's some piece of code, you develop some algorithm, you try to implement the algorithm, what kind of language, software language, or what kind of hardware that we try to use, which hardware can address the problem very well. So if it is a chemical problem, they used to do some kind of titration, they use some chemicals. Designing the experiment, I would say, how do you design the experiment? What is your research experiment? We must be able to tell. So all these things are stages. If you ask, so where are you? What is the stage? I'm in experimentation stage. I'm in identification of research gap stage. Okay, after a design of experiment, we have to do analysis. Are we having analytical mind? Right? We must always ask question. Then only we can be a good researcher, or we can try to understand the research. Without analysis, without producing the results, so how do we compare or how do we compare our improvement? How do we judge our improvement? We have to do analysis. Our analysis may fail. We should not bother about the failure. Of course, not all the research works are going to produce successes. But one thing should be sure: are we really following this process? There may be some difference of opinion with the processes that I am telling, because of course most of you have done. Most of you may be having decades of research, but I thought that this should be the ideal way. That's why I'm presenting it. And then observation. Do I have any observation? I have some numbers. What kind of representation is good for ensuring or confirming the observation? What do you get from that? You give the number. Yeah, this is what I have done. This is what I have got. What do you observe? What is the outcome? This is what A is greater than B, or A equal to B, or A less than B. This is my observation. Okay. You change the experiment. If you are getting A greater than B, for the next experiment, you may be getting A less than B or A equal to B. Is it the observation? Is the experiment is correct? Design of experiment is correct? Try to link with that and the research gap. Are you really trying to understand? Right? So I want to draw a rat, but it has become a mouse. What is your intention? I want to draw a rat, but it has become mouse. Is it what? So is it in VLSI design they would say, right, whether the design the verification is a process of ensuring whether the final design meets the specification. Specification is first step. End product is meeting the specific. Always we have to see back. You have to maybe doing some kind of back propagation, some feedback. Is my observation related to experiment? Is my observation related to analysis? Okay, analysis are not sufficient. Add some analysis. What is the latest analysis that is there? Add it. Try to do. I come here again. Okay, you have done something. The result is really novel. What's the novelty? Yeah, I have reduced the time by 0.1 milliseconds. What is the utility? It's going to address this particular customers or this. What is the complexity? So are we able to answer all these things? So again, we have to do the backtrace. We must always ensure this. The one thing that before entering this, we must think over it, right? We spend close to 3 years or 5 years for doing a formal research. At the end of the 5 years, he's not going to come up with only publication or patent or product. But in my point of view, he is going to come up with research excellence. The research excellence is not going to be judged by the numbers. He is going to produce tens and thousands of researchers. He is going to guide some researcher. That is what I say. I would like to see the research. That is going to be the actual outcome of the research. Then come the publication. Of course, I'm not going to talk about publications and the nuances of doing the publication. It's different. Let us try to immerse. Let us try to immerse in doing research. That's all. Let us try to enjoy the research. Then the final step is going to be publication or patent or product. All of us have a family. All of us are social animals. We want to spend some good time, right? We want to spend some good time with family. Of course, I encourage, whether you are full-time researcher or part-time researcher, you do some teaching. That will really enhance. Of course, based on one understanding, the presentations of a researcher who is by native, who is a teacher, is really good compared to the presenter who is a full-time researcher who don't have proper teaching exposure. For that only I advocate, whenever you are doing research or full-time research or part-time research, take some teaching assignments. let it be a paid one or a non-paid one, but let us try to understand, right? If you don't have any proper courses for handling, let us try to take some weekly classes to our juniors or something. Somehow, weekly you must be engaged in some kind of teaching. That will really help. That's my personal experience. So the percentage may be different. You may have different ideas. Please think over it. So I have kept 20% for family time. This weekly time management that I projected. So 40% research in a week and 10% weekly discussion. So you can say that 50% you are spending your time on research. The weekly discussion may be a group presentation or a critic of a new publication or something. And of course, if you are doing the teaching, we have to prepare, right? I would say that I want to take some new courses. Of course, definitely a new learning, but you have to struggle initially. Whenever you are interested to learn something new, we have to struggle, right? We learn something, and then if you take a course for 1 or 2 semesters, it will be your area, right? So family, preparation and teaching, academic work, weekly discussions and research work, all these things have to be properly managed. Is it going to be a highly meticulous, because there may be some aberrations, there may be some change in the timing, but we have to provide time for all these things, right? Then only we can become a holistic professor, holistic man, if you spend time on all these things. Let me come to the challenges, right? Still, I want to enter into research, but before that, but I'm not going to run away after seeing the challenges first. But I must have knowledge of these challenges, knowledge of challenges, understanding the research. Am I really doing research, or am I simply doing any laboratory experiment? Am I doing research? Availability and identification of proper resources, right? So I might be trying to do in some hardware A, but I will be doing in some other hardware B without knowing that, oh, this is what I have to do. I don't know this is the actual equipment or this is the actual hardware. Is it really available? We have to ensure, right? So we have some degrees of freedom. Based on the availability only we are trying to do. If we have any opportunity to get funding, we purchase something new and then try it, that's another question. But majority is really revolving around the availability. Selection of apt courseworks. If you take a simple coursework, I would say, how far is it going to help your research? Is it really going to help your research? If not, why should I take the coursework? So what kind of metric you have to analyze that this coursework is going to help me or not? If it is not going to help me, then why should I choose it? So most of the cases, sometimes it's being offered as a MTech course, so that I attend, may not be a self-study course, right? For most of the cases, it is happening. So what kind of relevance we have on the particular course for my research? Is it really going to help? Managing doctoral committee meetings. So you may ask me a question. The challenge that you are telling, right? So is it a list of challenges for scholar or supervisor? For both. First, research supervisor has to understand the research to explain it to his or her student, right? So of course, all these things, some of these things can be put in a basket of researchers. Some of them can be listed for a scholar. Managing doctoral committee meeting. Of course, we have a practice of conducting doctoral committee meetings. The most of the cases it is happening after making a publication or after making some small progress, right? It's going to be a progress review meeting. How far? It's a progress review and progress encouragement meeting, right? It's not going to be review alone. It's not going to be a critic alone. But what kind of encouragement that you can obtain from the doctoral committee meetings is what really important. How is it? Because it is going to direct you, right? We are going in a particular path. No, don't go there. Just turn here and then go. That should be the purpose of the doctoral committee meeting. But challenge in arrangement, arranging this, getting, the proper doctoral committee members. All these things are involved in this. Probably you may better understand. Technical communication. Are you able to express your research problem in a technical way? Who is your audience? First, whoever made the researcher, who is the audience? Technical guy is going to be the audience, right? I cannot say that always you should be able to explain the research to layman. Layman may not be understanding. For layman, you may be saying, yeah, this is a vertical. This research is related to this vertical or something. You can say it's a computer related. It's a IT related. But in IT related, whether it is cloud computing or edge computing or machine learning or AI, right? Or it's going to be OS related, or it's going to be hardware related. Many things are involved. Are you capable of explaining this in a very swift manner through your technical communication? Understanding plagiarism is a challenge. What is plagiarism? A plus b whole square equal to a square plus 2ab plus b square. Instead of changing a, b, we change with x and y, but the equation remains, right? We change. Is it going to be a plagiarism? Are we stealing the idea of someone, or are we not acknowledging the idea of someone? Are we properly acknowledging it? We have to understand plagiarism. That's very important, right? Otherwise, if you don't have at least this knowledge, is very important, right? The evaluation methodology, all these things are really important. I cannot simply go like a horse which has closed with partially closed eyes. I must see around what's happening around, what kind of plagiarism is happening. Am I aware of the plagiarism? Running between academic work and research. Of course, you might, even if I don't explain this, you will be able to understand. How do you manage, right? Typically, 50-50, I would say, but it may be changing. Some of them may be 100% researchers. Some of them may be really interested in teaching, developing some pedagogy. And for them also research is required, right? I'm trying to de-link the research from the PhD alone. Research is for everyone. Even a guy who is teaching, he also needs some research for understanding a concept. Incremental or innovative research progress. Incremental research means what? Some algorithm has been designed, I modify some algorithm and I publish something new. This is increment. What is innovative? Out of box thinking, right? I may take some new concept. Whether the new concept will result in success or failure, I don't bother. Or am I really thinking stupid for linking this with this particular problem? Is it innovative? Is it highly innovative? That the NUC will come everywhere. The novelty, utility, and the complexity will come everywhere. But mostly, are we concentrating on incremental or innovative? Publication in peer-reviewed journals, it's a challenge, right? So we must get reviews. We must get hundreds of questions from the reviewers. Then only the quality of research can improve. That's why it's called peer review. Someone who is on top, who has done some extensive research, is going to give comment on your work. So he is going to help you. He is going to help you. Oh, this is a way in which, okay, I'm satisfied that I'm able to explain, I'm able to answer his question. Good. Obtaining research fellowship, right? Of course, a bit fellowship is really going to help any research scholar. Maybe through in-house fellowship or through some kind of SRF or JRF or something. So I would say that I would put this to the basket of research guide. What is the responsibility of a research supervisor? Similar to that list, I also have some list here also. Estimating the ability of your research scholar. This is really interesting, right? How do I estimate it? The moment when the when the research scholar meets the research supervisor, from a moment itself, should he be able to evaluate what is the first-hand information I have is resume I may have, but I would not be able to evaluate him immediately. At least he has to work under me for a couple of weeks, right? How does he understand? Is he capable of reading a journal article? Is he capable of searching a proper article? Is he capable of critical thinking? Right? These are the evaluation, right? Curating the courseworks. Research supervisor plays a crucial role here. He has to, design the coursework. He can design on his on own some kind of self-study courses, some skills. A research supervisor may think that these skills may be really mandatory for the scholar to understand. Let him upgrade, right? I would say that's the responsibility of a supervisor. Providing moral and technical support. You should stand by the scholar. You should be with the scholar, right? Because the scholar is going to spend more time with the supervisor. So research supervisor must provide a moral support to the scholar, and also not only moral but also technical support. If he needs some facility, he has to arrange some facility. If he needs some understanding, if he needs some help in drafting something, it's a responsibility of your supervisor. Suggesting suitable journals for deep dive of chosen problem. We have to deep dive into the particular problem to come out with a pearl, right? We are getting inside the ocean. We have to come up with a pearl, right? If we want to come up with that, then understanding, supervisor has to understand first. This is a kind of journals which you have to look for, and then spend time with scholar. Just to spend time with the scholar, not progress monitoring, not going to take stick and be with the scholar always, but you spend some time, just take them some and just speak with them what kind of problems that they have. So if you are morally with them, then definitely you are going to produce a good research supervisor. I mean, research supervisor is going to produce another research supervisor. I won't say that he is going to produce a PhD degree. Research, what is the responsibility of a supervisor? He is going to produce another supervisor. He has to produce another supervisor. Guidance to fetch fellowship. This is what I was hinting during my last slide. What kind of guidance that we have that he is providing for fetching the fellowship? Yeah, you apply here and there. Encouraging them for regular presentation. I would say that I try to link this with the teaching assignment. So whenever if he is interested, engaged in teaching, then he is going to do it. Training the scholars to train UG and PG students. That's how we have to nurture the scholars, right? So tomorrow he is going to guide some scholars for PhD program. So it is, so there's something like we say the charity begins at home. So you grow them here itself. Let them focus on product development. Let us let them understand what is product development. Let them not stop with writing something and publishing something. What kind of they have spent some years. Let them come up with the product. Training the scholars to handle research questions. So this is the point that I would like to mention here is how far they are capable of answering the research, how far they are understanding the research questions, and then reflecting it. Are they really understanding the question? First, understanding is the problem, basically. Are they really understanding? If they understand it, almost 80% they can answer, right? So these are the skills. And then I come to research scholar. First, he must be involved in research, right? So we can see some research scholars, they come inside, they are entering the research, but they are exiting at a very sooner. So why do they spend research, right? Spend some time on research. Research is a vast thing. They have to spend some years. There are a lot of constraints associated with that. First, we must be mentally strong. We must first focus on the involvement, right? That involvement is mandatory. I would say that it is the only thing that is needed. If they have involvement, we can enhance other skills. Good rapport with the supervisor. We must have good rapport. We must, have proper behavior. We must understand the supervisor. Supervisor has to understand the research scholar. That kind of, the chemistry that should work between the scholar and the supervisor. They must have good rapport. Take teaching assignments, which I already told earlier. Take teaching, because anyway, you are going to do presentation in doctoral committee, you are going to present in comprehensive viva, you are going to present in defense viva, pre-defense viva, all these things you are going to talk about your research. We have to talk about our research, right? Then only the knowledge sharing can go, right? I'm writing something, I should also be able to talk, right? Writing can make some group to understand, but speaking may be able to impress a larger audience. Ever growing interest to learn new things. Try to learn some new things. Try to bring some new things to your research. Learning the art of technical writing and oral presence. This is an art, I would say, right? I would say it is an art. Utilize research funding opportunities. Just have an eye over what kind of research funding opportunities are available. Just throw the stone, right? Try to write a proposal and throw that. Don't bother about rejections, or don't get dejected. You will definitely get success sometime. Do we have really skill, right? So the lakhs and lakhs of equipments might be present in the lab. We must have the skill. You are going to be with the instrument. You are going to live with the instrument for most of the time. You should nurture. You should develop necessary skill to operate the instrument, and also necessary skill to train the others to operate the instrument. That is also very important. Are you able to train others to operate even maybe a computer, maybe a hardware, or maybe an instrument? Understanding the research lab management. Anyway, your supervisor may be running a big lab. Are you going to manage the lab? Are you going to manage the cleanliness of the lab? Are you going to have the stocks properly? These are the skills you see, right? So when you say research, I say writing publication alone, writing some technical paper alone is not research. Developing these capabilities is also research. Developing a student-centric labs, all these things, I would say, this is what happening in most of the cases, right? So we whether we are working in academic environment or a bigger research lab. Anyway, all these things, equipments are going to be there. People are going to be there. Undergrad students are going to be there. People have to manage. So the bird's eye view, on all these things will really help. Developing a student-centric lab ecosystem. Students have to come to your lab. Are we developing something? Nurturing next level of junior researcher. Right? It's like lighting a candle from other candle. One candle lights the other candle. The other candle lights the other candle. That's how it's a teamwork. You have to develop the team. They should be able to approach you. This is updation. Some soft skills are also mandatory, but don't take your eye on. Don't take your eye from your core. Why are you here? We are here for doing some good quality research. Then I have to update myself. That's the outcome. This is how I would say the research outcome is going to be. Understanding how to pursue research. And still all of us are really trying to understand. Are we really doing research? Or understanding how to pursue research is one good outcome, right? Research means these things, the soft skills or hard skills I must have. Then developing critical thinking and reflection. When you say an article, this is what he has not done this analysis, this is the issue, this work has this particular idea has been already proposed by someone in 1950s. This idea is not new. Are you able to critically think? I would say that's very important. The critical thinking will really help in a lot of ways, a lot of places. Conflict management. Research. What is research conflict? Are you capable of sharing your idea with the researcher? I hope the attendees here can understand what kind of things can be shared, what not can be shared. Can you share your research data with other one? Can you share your unpublished data to other one? Unpublished data you are sharing with some other guy. He may be taking it, right? It may be creating some conflict. I would say the same work which has been done by a UG should not be claimed by a PG student. So how do we manage the conflict? You have to understand it very crucially here. Ability to develop a research problem. That's a research outcome. If you come out of research, I should be able to guide other students. That's how I see. I should be able to guide other scholars, and I should be able to tell them this is good research problem or this is not a good research problem. We must not have any ambiguity, right? Evaluation of a technical presentation. Of course, I would try to link the second point with the fifth point. Any technical presentation, are we capable of evaluating it? These are the things that you must have focused. These are the things you must have avoided. This is looking like an academic presentation. This is looking like a research presentation. Still, I'm trying to learn whether I'm trying to differentiate an academic presentation with a research presentation. Still, I'm not sure of it, which is a good presentation, which is bad presentation. But one thing is sure. Are we crystal clear? Are we crystal clear in delivering our thought process? We must be. This may be, yes, sir. No, sir. That one, sir. Then we don't have very clear concept. Yeah, this is what I have done. Oh, if it is wrong, okay. This is what I have followed. I must have followed that. Like that, you accept, right? Understanding how to publish the research work. I'm putting publication in to the last because I see these things are outcomes that will normally automatically come if we develop other capabilities. Understand that is also a valid thing, right? So I do for 5 years of research or 3 years of research, but I don't publish anything. Means then what kind of how do I expose or how do I show my research to others, right? The why do I do publication is to get views of the other researchers. That is one thing. To make others to understand. Of course, there are different metrics, the impact factor, what kind of what kind of publisher, the IETR, Springer or Elsevier or IEEE or Taylor and Francis. Many things are there. Then this is a very good impact factor or number of citations, how many of them are viewing. Let it be. If we are focused on really novel work and if we are capable of analyzing our work in an effective manner, then obviously we will end up in good publication, right? A publication which is free of plagiarism, a publication which is free of technical flaws is what we are looking for, leave alone the next. Ability to guide research scholars, right? Of course, that's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, any queries you can. Yes, if you have any queries from the participants.
You are feel free to ask questions. If I know the questions, if I know the answers, I will try to share.
Sir, I'm
Sir, good
Dr.
afternoon, sir.
Jaradin.
This is Srinath.
Good afternoon, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yes, Srinath.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Sir, good afternoon, sir. This is Srinath, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, you have
Yes.
explained about flowchart of managing time. So in the event of managing time, you would have feel that the scholar or a PhD student or a scholar will definitely end up in having a peer pressure. That will lead to a stress. So any tips on how to manage the stress?
All right. It's a good question. Managing the stress, right? First, we must establish a friendship with the peers, right? The way in which we share time with them, the way in which we establish friendship with them will ease out the pressure. You are talking about if you talk about the scholar level, peer level pressure. So I would try to understand it this way. A couple of students are working in the same lab. One has published a good paper, one does not have any paper, right? So in that case, obviously the second guy will develop some pressure. So obviously we have to handle pressure at many point of time. Rather than that, he can focus on concentrating his work properly and try to understand what is missing in my thought process, and he can try to understand that, so that he can ease out the pressure, rather than thinking that he has performed well, I'm not performing well. Some kind of complexity, some kind of those thought process has to come out. This is a small answer I have for this, for your question.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ma'am, you are having any question? Mary, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Sir, I'm Dr. Jaradin. Sir, I have a small clarification. You were saying about NUC, no, sir? Novelty, utility,
Yes.
complexity. That
Yes, ma'am.
complexity should be more or less.
Yeah, for especially high quality of research, the complexity should be really more, right? The way in which we adopt some technique which can solve complex problems, right? Complex problems require complex solutions. Most of the time, complex problems are having complex solutions. Sometimes more complex problems may have simple solutions. But when you think about some works, right, which require complex representation of your problem. Complex representation means the way in which you are trying to develop the mathematical model, or making the analytical also complex, very critical, complex. So in that sense, complexity should be really high.
Okay, sir. So I was thinking you have to give simple solutions for complex problems.
Need not be. It need not be, madam. Sometimes we may provide some simple solution, or how far, right? How far we are seeing the problem as a complex phenomena, that will try to really reduce our level to make it simpler for understanding. Mostly, this research that is being carried out is addressed to a highly technical audience. In that way, our complexity should be high.
Okay, sir.
This is my view. Thank
Okay,
you.
sir. Thank you.
If there is no question, is there any? Ma'am, Jasmine, ma'am, shall we?
Yes, sir. There is no question means we'll close the session and
Okay, ma'am.
Christopher Clement, sir.
Ma'am, he is not available. Let me.
Okay, sir. You can conclude the session. Sir, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank
Sir.
you. Thank
Very
you.
nice lecture. We have got many information from you. Okay. So
No,
if it is time is permit, we'll come to college, sir, and give the offline lecture. It will be very useful for the research scholar. Is it possible?
We'll think over it, madam. Thank you. Once this Omicron or other things are.
Actually, where are you from, sir? Chennai.
I'm at Chennai, madam.
Okay, it's possible because a research scholar will get more information from your lecture. So if you are giving one, sir, it's very useful. Okay, sir, we'll think over that one.
Sure, madam.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Karthikeyan, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Sir, it was Sundararaman, sir. It's really nice, very good,
Thank you.
informative.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So at this juncture, I like to thank Dean Sir Sivanandam Sir and Associate Dean Ma'am Jasmine Ma'am for making this session to happen. And of course, I would like to thank Dr. Sundar Rahman for sharing his ideas on entering into research, particularly on information provided in the slides like Launchpad for research. I think another one, problem formulation, and the stages during research, particularly the time management slide. So I was more about into the time management slide where 50% we need to spend on the research. It's good information also. So according to me, the last 1 hour is one of the best lecture I have attended related to research domain, particularly the non-technical type of lecture. So thank you once again, sir, for your time with us, for sharing your views and ideas on entering into research. And thank you all and have a nice day. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you all for the opportunity. Thanks for your good interaction. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll meet soon in the IIT campus. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. It was a very interesting presentation, sir. It was very interesting. Like Karthikeyan sir said, it was one of the best 1 hour we spent in the recent times.
Thank you. Just I shared my random thoughts. So if it has benefited you, then I'm grateful. Thank you.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, participants.
Karthikeyan sir.
Oh. Yes, madam. Valarmadi, madam.
Sir Sundaraman sir, it's a really very interesting lecture, sir. Even I was in some other meeting. I'm just requesting Karthikeyan sir to share the video.
Sure,
Yes,
sure, ma'am. Sure. I'll share with you.
Sir, it's really very interesting, sir. But I had an opportunity to attend it only half of the lecture.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Madam.
Thank you so much,
We
sir.
can. Yeah. Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you, sir and madam, for this wonderful lecture arrangement. Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Shall I leave, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
I'll
sir.
call
Yes,
you.
If possible, kindly give this recording also to me. Thank
Sure,
you.
I'll share
Yes,
you.
sir.
Stop the recording. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you all. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll close.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.